in The Witcher Season 3. Holly, if you have any voice left, please take it away.
Okay, I'll start, but I'll have to hand over to Sharon quickly for the stupid talking. So, unsurprisingly, The Witcher Season 3 follows on from the end of The Witcher Season 2. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
And it begins with Geralt, Ciri, and Yennefer together, but with Geralt and Yen not on speaking terms because obviously Series 2 ended with, whilst things being improved, her having, betrayed them to some extent, and
which nobody ever saw coming, but yeah.
Nobody ever saw coming, obviously. So it begins with the improving of the relationships and the discovery that there are clearly, undercurrents of not goodness happening at Aretusa, and trying to find out what exactly is going on and keep Ciri safe. With bringing in various characters from the other episodes in slightly random fashions, but all completely logical.
Yep.
I think that's about as much as my voice can manage for now. So over to you, Sharon.
Yeah, and it sort of delves into we can feel it's all been sort of coming towards this conflict, isn't it? Where a continent, as it's set, there were all these factions that are maneuvering for power. They're trying to maneuver the mages and
Redania, Nilfgaard,
and
Sintra,
and they're all sort of trying to sort of maneuver and to take advantage of this sort of magic, and they're not witches. What would you call the women?
They're sorceresses.
Sorceresses,
mages.
They don't
mages.
Mages.
I thought okay, because I've always tend to think that the mages has been the men, but I suppose it's the Brotherhood, isn't it? They talk about the Brotherhood and then the mages. That's right. And so you can finally see it's all coming towards this decisive moment where things, instead of being this sort of like uneasy tension between all these factions, it suddenly now is going to descend into all-out war. And so we see this sort of almost like schism happen, don't we, where this spark has been lit, and then they are openly at war now between Nilfgaard and the mages and the elves.
Oh yeah. The elves were pretty annoyed at the end of season 2.
Yeah.
And so there's more of the same. So yeah, there's a lot of, and how the three characters that we have been following throughout, Ciri, flanked by sort of Geralt and Yennefer, how they're all being drawn inexorably down towards this path of of conflict, and Ciri sort of fulfilling her destiny. And we're beginning to sort of get glimpses of what because they've always said she's potentially the most powerful mage there's ever been.
Yeah.
And we're beginning to get glimpses of her power, and what the consequences of that will be for the continent as we have seen it.
All right, cool. So obviously you don't want to say much and give away spoilers or anything like that. But one of the things that I watched The Witcher Season 2 probably about 3 years, maybe 4, after watching The Witcher Season 1. And it was one of those things where I'm just gonna sit here and let this wash over me because I don't remember anything. I don't remember who's who. That person looks kind of familiar. I somewhat remember they're like, ooh, Mousak. I'm like, who was Mousak? I don't remember who Mousak is. And then somebody shows up and I'm like, I think I remember him from early on in the episode. Is there a similar, because the one of the things about The Witcher is that The Witcher is dense. The Witcher, the folklore is dense, and I feel like they throw you in there, especially the first season, they throw you in there and they expect you to sink or swim, and they don't make a lot of concessions. They just kind of go, either you get it or you don't, and if you don't get it, bye.
It's not for you.
Yeah.
I'm a similar boat because I've only read the first book, and when they talk about Strombold, or they talk about different characters, I'm thinking, which one was he again?
Yeah, Vilgefortz.
All that, and I'm like, and the different countries, I'm like, are they goodies or are they baddies? and there's not clear lines, are there, between any of them?
No.
So when suddenly one sort of, so I haven't followed it. I'm not in that world, so I found keeping track of some of it. I just haven't bothered, and because I watched the prequel story, I'm trying to think, how on earth does all that fit in with what we're seeing now? Anyway, so yes, it's sort of there's more of the same where it can be confusing to the uninitiated, and even those who've watched them all, it's still a bit confusing because unless you've read the books and played the games, I think you probably will find it a little bit. Yeah, there's a lot.
There is a lot. That was the thing but I think it's a testament to the show and to the making of the show that even though it's this dense thing where you're not sure what's happening half the time, it's still really entertaining and you still you still want to watch it. But does that carry on in season 3?
Yeah, certainly does to my mind, but it does. I mean, we know I rewatched everything,
Yeah.
but it really does benefit from a rewatch and actually starting at series 1 and then going through and rewatching all of them. So you're actually
You know what's going on.
Did you do
Yeah.
that?
Of course
Did you do? You did.
obviously I did.
I didn't, and there are some bits I was thinking, I don't know what this is all about.
I don't know who that is. I don't know. There was somebody. There's somebody who shows up in season 2, and I remember looking at him going, "I'm pretty sure you died." and I was good. I was looking going, "I thought you died." And hang on, no, didn't somebody kill you and then take your face and walk around masquerading to be you? I thought you were the person who is being masqueraded. No, 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 no. No, you're actually just the person. Okay, that must have been somebody else who died. and it's like oh, he's an expert in monoliths, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure he died. But
It's quite difficult to follow and sometimes to tell people apart. It's not like my winner of what was it, ridiculous film TV series with Sarah Michelle Gellar that was on last year, where I couldn't tell any of the characters apart.
Oh, was this the one that had to do with vampires and where she was a head of where she was like she was some old wizened vampire hunter or something?
No, this was the one where there were werewolves and she was in the police.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yes, I couldn't tell any of the characters apart. There was generic man or generic male young person, generic female young person. To me, I have no idea which. I couldn't tell any of them apart at all.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. So, how many stars would we give The Witcher season 3?
If I give my little Pennyworth there, and I didn't love it as I used to. I loved the first season. I absolutely loved it. I was less enthused by the second season. Didn't really rate the prequel one at all, and a bit of a mess. And this one, again, I'm feeling slightly less enthusiastic. So for me, my interest has waned a little bit in the Witcher universe.
Yeah.
I think that might be because I probably needed to go back and revisit them all so that it was made sense to me, because a lot of it probably didn't make sense. So I would have to give it a 3 because I recognise that they've done it well. I probably would have liked a bit more Geralt because he's the character that sort of draws you into this world and you see the world through his eyes. And where it does dance around a bit, I was like, I don't know what's going on. So I think for me, it was losing me a little bit. Picked up towards the end. The last 3 episodes, I thought it would pick up, but for me, it's still going to be a 3.
And I agree with everything you said there. I think it wasn't quite as gripping as the first series. The first series was so good. but
I think it's funny because the other thing I was going to talk about, which I might talk about next week, The Deepest Breath. It's not even it's not even that the first season was so good. It was the way the first season was told.
Yes.
Like the structure of the first season was a massive part of it. It was a massive part of it that made you go, oh, I see what that. Oh, yeah, I get you now. And I think that it's a lot in the telling of the story. Even if the story is straightforward, the telling of the story can make it exceptional. And I think that's the case with The Deepest Breath, and I think that was the case with the first season of The Witcher.
As one of the episodes in this, I think, captures that same sort of telling.
Yeah.
Towards the end, which I think gives you really captures what they did in the first series. So whilst I absolutely loved it, and I'm going to give it a 4, it's a slightly grudging 4.
Okay, it's just about
because it's also there's an element of sentimentality in there.
Or because it's Henry Cavill's last go as Geralt.
It's not even that. It's the sort of having been fond of the first series. So
okay, gotcha.
One probably likes, I'm able to like it more than it necessarily deserves,
Yeah,
because even though I still think it was very good, I think there's a sort of emotional
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Kind of like watching a family member do something. You're like, oh, look at them, yay! Or a niece or a nephew or something. You're like, oh, aren't you clever? So and going on to something else that Sharon, that you said earlier, that big Geralt being the main draw. So there's a whole bit in season two where with they pointed that Geralt isn't the only Witcher, and you meet a whole bunch of other witches, and and it's funny because you see him in this sort of cabal of other witches, and you're kind of like, well, in a fight, they're all gonna die because he's obviously better than them because he's Henry Cavill, and none of the others are anywhere near Henry Cavill. And it made me think that this show is so much on his shoulders. So it's not so much on Geralt's shoulders, but on Henry Cavill's shoulders, because Henry Cavill looks like a superhero, and he walks in and he's taller than everybody else, and he's got the white hair and all that. And none of the other witches looked exceptional, even though they're supposed to be. They all looked rubbish compared to quite frankly. And when there was a fight, you were like, yeah, they're all gonna die. He's gonna walk out alive. And and I feel like this is a big problem that The Witcher has going forward, because we know Henry Cavill is not going to be Geralt anymore. It's going to be Liam Hemsworth, and I feel like that is one hell of a poisoned chalice, and and I really, really, really hope for Liam Hemsworth's sake he is getting paid loads, because not only do I fear for the show with Henry Cavill not in it, I fear for him. I fear for Liam Hemsworth, because people, I think, are going to come for him because he's not Henry Cavill, and he's not built like Henry Cavill. I think Chris Hemsworth maybe could get away with it. Liam Hemsworth, unfortunately, not, because I just feel like I'm just looking at you're watching the season, so I'm just kind of going, but he's Geralt. he is Geralt. He has. You look at him and you understand why this guy is like loaded across the continent and everything like that. But yeah, it did make me think. Yeah, I think this show is on his shoulders, and I think I think season four might be the final season because because
Yeah.
I don't know how somebody is going to carry on from what Henry Cavill has
That
done
that
without
presence.
without I think the presence is the way. It's just the fact that I feel like the way they've done it is very particular to him, and I honestly am worried for Liam Hemsworth. I really really am. Yeah, but hey, he might blow us away. I hope he does. I sincerely hope he does. I think it will be very, very different, and I think that many people might not be able to handle that difference. and and Netflix might wield their big witcher swinging axe to cut it off. But do they come up with anything at the end of this season that might explain why Geralt might look different next season?
No.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Oh dear. Okay. Never mind. I was
But
hoping there was an elixir or polyjuice potion or something, but never mind.
I mean, I think it sort of hangs in a way that you can potentially see how something potentially could be done, but it's certainly not entirely opened the door to it. Does that make sense?
It will when I watch it.
Yeah.
But all right, okay, cool. So that is 3.5 stars for The Witcher season 3.